Hey there everybody, redxparasite here, and welcome back to Let's Play Metroid Prime 3. So, in the last episode, we got our main mission, which is to take care of the Leviathan that has impacted 3 planets. So there are actually 3 different Leviathans. But our first task was to come here to Brio and figure out what's going on. So I do apologize for the last episode kind of ending abruptly and also involving a little bit of backtracking. I just felt like it was a good place to end that recording session, and I didn't want to get too deep into Brio here last time. So in this episode we will actually continue exploring Brio, starting with the first main hub area, which once the store loads we'll actually walk into. So if there's one thing that I can really compliment about the latter 2 Prime games is that Metroid Prime obviously has some of the kind of standard themed areas that you might expect. So, you know, a lava area or a fire area, an ice area, you know, forest area, that kind of thing. But Prime 2 and especially Prime 3 have some different themes for their areas, and they don't necessarily stick to some of those more elemental kind of things. So that's one thing that I definitely like about the Prime trilogies, that the environments, you know, do have some variety between them, and particularly between the different games. So starting off here, we want to head. I think we actually need to go over this way just yet. We're supposed to take this bridge across. If you walk on that bridge, it will collapse. So it's basically a one-time thing. Or I guess when you lower this platform, that it also does that. But basically, once you walk across it the first time, you will not be able to go back. So just keep that in mind. So you don't actually need to scan this. This is just related to that door puzzle. So we're going to want to go into the morph ball here and roll around to this to hit the bomb slot. So you're seeing kind of a gel-like substance here. We can't actually scan any of it in this region, at least not yet. That's going to be one of the big kind of mechanics of this planet in general. We'll get into that more in a little bit. We have a new enemy that just flew in after we activated this bomb slot. They're a bit hard to scan. These are Phazon Night Barbs. Group forms powerful attack, but it can be overloaded to destroy them. The Phazon Night Barbs have enhanced aerial mobility that makes them all but impossible to hit with normal shots. The group will work together to create a powerful energy burst that will fire at their prey. Detonating the energy charge with normal attacks before it fires should destroy them. Phazon Night Barbs are the result of Night Barbs being exposed to Phazon radiation. It's a bit obvious. These mutations look similar to their uncorrupted counterparts, but are characterized by their greatly increased offensive and defensive capabilities. So like the scan says, it's a bit hard to scan them normally, but if you just shoot them while they're spinning around in a circle and charging up like that, you can usually take them out pretty effectively. They are somewhat of a nuisance if you just ignore them. So yeah, you can just take them out, and then you won't have to worry about that. So we hit the first bomb slot, but there are 2 that we need to hit to open the gate. So in order to get to the other one, these platforms just lowered here, so now we can actually get up to the entrance to the other slot. Okay. So now that we have that out of the way, we'll just roll up into the morph ball and fall all the way. Done. So that also frees up an alternate way of getting to the gate. And it blocks off the way that we could have gotten there the first time. So we actually have to take the second route now. We don't have an option. So we have another new enemy that kind of flew in after we activated that. And these are gel puffers. Consumes and emits fuel gel fumes. Explodes when ruptured. Exposure to fuel gel has left the shell of the gel puffer highly susceptible to weapon fire. Gel puffers have come to rely on the toxic vapors given off by fuel gel for sustenance. They process these gases and then expel the excess to stay afloat. The brittle shell of the puffer, while durable in appearance, is rather thin and easily damaged. So, like the puffers in other games, you're going to want to take these out from a distance. Because they will explode when they are defeated, and if you are close to it, then you will obviously get damaged. So, now that we have opened up this gate, we have something that's kind of blocking the path here. It's a metal orb. So you can actually use the grapple lasso on it to pull it along the morph ball track. Once you pull it far enough, you can pull it out of the opening here, and now it's not blocking the path anymore. So we can go two ways here. We're going to want to go to the right first, because there is something that we can get here. In addition, okay, they don't spawn in just yet. There will be shriek bats here in the future, so they can be, again, a difficult scan to get just because of how large their range is to activate. But we'll get into that once we actually see them. So we have a lore entry on the wall here. This is our first Bryonian lore data. This is the entry for the Golden Age. Look now to the past and see the time of peace on Brio. See the Age of Gold, where our world was a paradise unrivaled. Hear the songs of joy fill the streets of the royal city as the people honor the coming of Bryus, the first, the Liberator. Behold the launch of our first ship to the stars on that day, and witness the rise of science of a new Brio. See this and see the beginning of our downfall. So, unlike the Chozo and Luminoth in the previous games, Bryonians, well, they are still technically around, but not quite in the same way that the Chozo are, or the Luminoth. So, now that we have that energy tank, which you just picked up, we're up to 3. Which is definitely nice, because, well, here they are. I'm probably not going to be able to get these in time. Nope. Okay, well, we'll have second chances to get that scan, so I'm just going to have to keep my eyes peeled for that, because, like in this situation, often you don't see them before it's too late and they start attacking you. But having 3 energy tanks is going to be nice. So, this is a shell bug. Attacks by firing phazon spines, soft body is vulnerable to attack. Shell bugs are slow-moving, roaming insects whose soft bodies are easily damaged. Until they reach maturity, they will not develop their phasite shell. Unable to retract into a shell to avoid damage, they must aggressively attack any potential threat. They will extend sharp spines to fend off attackers or propel these spines at enemies. So, these guys will keep firing at you constantly, so just take them out so that you don't get hurt by them. Now, I didn't scan it, but there was some fuel gel in that structure right there, so we'll get more into fuel gel, exactly what it is, but it's very explosive. So if you shoot it, with your regular shots, then it will blow up or ignite. So if you destroy that and you jump up here, there is a missile expansion for you to get. So definitely worth your while. It's not too far out of the way to get, and we're still pretty low on expansions right now, so we can we'll take what we can get. Now, up here, blocking the main tunnel, we have some Phazon vines. So, we're not going to be able to destroy them with any other kinds of weaponry, so we're going to have to go into hyper mode to deal with them. So, one thing that you can do in hyper mode to help conserve your health, since it does take one energy tank to activate it, is if you only need to use a few shots, like I did in that situation where I only needed 4, you can manually exit hyper mode by pressing plus again, and that will give you the amount of energy remaining in the bar. So I think I had about like 84 left, so that can help you save some health, especially when you don't have a lot to spare at this point, because if you use up an entire hyper mode at this point, you know, it's one full energy tank, which is a quarter of our current health. So as I was talking about earlier, the Bryonians, they're still technically around, but they're just not quite as intelligent as they used to be. So I won't spoil too much because it is kind of pivotal to the main lore. But these guys aren't friendly, and you know, they don't converse with you like the Luminoth did in Prime 2. So this is a Reptilicus hunter. Phazon corruption has granted Reptilicus hunters the ability to cloak themselves. They use this ability to their advantage and will hide or move to positions when cloaked to gain the upper hand in combat. Reptilicus hunters are fairly organized despite their primitive nature, usually attacking in small groups. They patiently wait for their prey to become isolated in a locked area before attacking. Their weaponry consists of an energy whip for close-range assaults and a throwing chakram for long-range attacks. They have adapted to the harsh climates of Brio and are quite resistant to fuel gel and heat-based attacks. So, with these guys, you can bait them into using their whip attack if you are close to them. Now, what you want to do with this is actually back away from it after you bait them into doing it. And I'm doing a terrible job of this thus far. Okay, so I think the best strategy is the moment that you see them initiate the whip attack, just start backing up. So you can use a combination of charge shots and missiles on these guys. We don't really have any other firepower to use against them right now, aside from hyper mode. But I'm going to try to avoid using hyper mode unless it's kind of necessary or it will really speed up the fights, because, you know, it definitely does. But there are some downsides to using it, which we'll get into in a little bit. So for now, we're just going to keep pressing forward and head further in this direction because the area is unlocked now. So in here we have a new kind of puzzle. So this is a sound puzzle. Once you hit the red dot in the center, it's gonna 3 more dots are going to appear in a certain order, and you have to shoot them in that order to open the door. So I'm going to be quiet here for a minute so I can actually hear the order. Actually, you can see it too. It's, they appear in order as well, so you don't have to hit them in order. So we have another lore entry. This is the Age of Science. The ships of Brio sped to the stars in all directions, bearing the banner of peace. Soon we found stellar brethren in the Chozo, the Luminoth, and the Yla. Starborn knowledge came to Brio, and we gladly sent our wisdom to our new friends in return. The hearts of Brio were filled with pride, and they honored the Lords of Science for all the wonders we provided. As the time of new Brio came to be, the old ways faded. The cries of joy from those who honored science covered the angry shouts of those who mourned the old ways, the primal traditions. Alright, so we have another room here. These are just your regular old Gragnolls. You can scan, I think, 2 things that are in this wall, so make sure that you get these scans because obviously you can't scan stuff while you're in Morph Ball. This is Korba, works with snatchers to feed, vulnerable to concussive blasts. The Korba is a vicious, resilient bioform. It prefers to lurk above its hunting grounds, waiting for prey. The Korba relies on smaller snatchers to levitate victims to a point where the Korba can devour them. What the Korba cannot digest, it expels to feed the snatchers. This symbiotic relationship works well for both the Korba and the snatchers. So that's the one scan, and then the other one is, as you would expect, the snatchers. So, snatchers are cunning, albeit weak bioforms. Unable to kill most prey on their own, they rely on the stronger Korba to do the work for them. Snatchers will swarm onto a target until it is overwhelmed. Once they have their prey, they pursue their owner. They use their power to levitate, lifting the victim to a point where the Korba can devour them. What the Korba cannot digest it. Okay, so this is the same thing. So it's actually kind of an interesting mechanic. And before I get to that, I'll take care of these. They're not bothering us. Plus, we can get a little bit of missile ammo back. So the entrance to that tunnel is right here. We're gonna need to use bombs here since it's telluric alloy. So now that we're in the maze, you can see we can get to the right here, which is all fine and good, but there's a missile expansion there that we can't really seem to get to yet. So what we actually have to do is get these snatchers to latch on to us, and luckily we're smarter than your average prey, and we are going to head up the left side here and use them to basically float us up. Now you can use a Morph Ball Bomb to destroy them and stop ascending, and that's what will let us get to this missile expansion. So, oh, I did not mean to fall down, although I guess it doesn't really matter since we took care of what we needed to. Basically, we could have just fallen down here. Actually, we might not be able to. Because I think that path to the right may not go all the way to the other side. So I'm going to head back up. It's going to be slow, but we'll get there. Yeah, see, it doesn't. Yeah, I think it just gets blocked off for me. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. That's interesting. Usually I just take the top path because, I'm getting the missile expansion. But it's cool to know that there are multiple ways to get through. Okay, so we can rip this off. And underneath is another source of fuel gel. So just make sure you don't destroy this from too close or you'll get hurt. And inside is an upgrade waiting for us. This is the grapple swing. So this was the grapple beam in the previous T Prime games and in Super Metroid as well. So it does your standard swinging from grapple hooks functionality that you had in those two games. What's interesting is that they give it to you really early in this game. Like, you get it pretty late in Prime, a little bit earlier in Prime too, but like this is the beginning of the first major area in Prime 3. Now granted, I think part of the reason that they did that was they wanted you to obviously get it at some point, and they have some new upgrades that they wanted to save until later. So they put it a little bit on the earlier side so that they have something to give you at this point. So now that we have that, we can make our way back out of this area. If we tried to go too far forward in... Nope, I do not want to grapple onto you. If we tried to go too far forward in another area, we would have been stopped by a grapple hook. So you'll need to come this way, at least if you're not using speedrunning tactics in order to progress. So off to the right side of this hook, there is a door, but we can't do anything about this door right now, so just have to leave it alone. So we're gonna have to remove all of these panels with our grapple lasso. Some of them seem to be a little bit more resilient than others. Like, some of them will just come off right away, and then other ones take a little bit more effort. Although, actually, I'm not sure if you have to pull these off or not. Because you might only need to pull off the one that's in front of the entrance, but I usually just pull them off because I don't want to leave it that way. So, just make our way back to the main area now. There's really nothing more for us to do here, at least for now. We do have a Reptilius Hunter, though. Really need to get better at dodging that attack. Because if you are standing farther away from them, they will use the Chakram attack where they throw it at you, but obviously if you're in close quarters like that, they'll use the whip because it makes sense. So, actually, now that we're back here in the hub area, I think this would be a decent place to end this episode. So, thank you very much for watching this episode of Let's Play Metroid Prime 3. I've been redxparasite, signing out.